Well, welcome to our viewers in Nigeria and across the world. Lunchtime politics begins right this minute. The lawyers to President Tinubu present Labour Party register to the Election Tribunal as they seek to prove their claim that Mr. Peter Obi was not qualified to contest the 2023 presidential election on the platform of the party. And after attempts by suspected IPOB members to enforce sit-at-home order in some markets in Ebonyi State, police launches manhunt for the gunmen amidst conflicting reports on casualty. And Kano State Anti-Graft Agency digs up 5-year-old dollar case involving immediate past Governor Abdullahi Ganduje and vows to probe him as well as others in his administration. Well, we'll begin at the Presidential Election Petition Court, where lawyers to President Bola Tinubu have presented the membership register of the Labour Party in Anambra State to prove their case that Mr. Peter Obi was not qualified to contest the 2023 presidential election on the platform of a Labour Party as at the time of the election. At the resumed hearing of the petition, the court also admitted the Chicago State University records of President Tinubu, who formally opened his defense in a petition filed against his electoral victory by the Labour Party, the PDP, and its presidential candidate, Peter Obi. The educational documents tended to establish his attendance and graduation at the American University, comprising the admission letter offered President Tinubu by the institution, the United States of America visa from 2011 to 2021, among others. And over to the National Assembly now, where the 10th session appears to be taking shape with the appointment of the principal officers of both chambers. Following the resumption of legislative proceedings after a 2-week recess, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced Senator Opeyemi Bamidele from Ekiti State as Senate Leader and Senator Ebonyi from Ebonyi State as Deputy Senate Leader. He also announced the Chief Whip and Deputy Chief Whip, as well as minority leaders, explaining that the officers emerged by consensus. Well, similarly, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, also announced the majority and minority leaders in the lower chamber of the National Assembly. Well, they are Honorable Julius Nyobere from Edo State and Kingsley Chinda from River State. Well, only one female lawmaker emerged as a principal officer. That's Honorable Adeomi Ononuga from Ogun State, who was announced as the Deputy Chief Whip. The Speaker also listed the rest of the entire leadership of the House, with the NNPP and Labour Party forming part of the minority leadership. There were no dissenting voices to the announcements. Now, that announcement of principal officers by the Senate and the House of Representatives is not going down well with the leadership of the ruling All Progressives Congress, that's the APC. Well, the national chairman of the party, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, has disowned the majority leadership position, saying that the party has not officially communicated the presiding officers to the National Assembly. And speaking during a meeting with governors of the party under the aegis of the Progressives Governors Forum, Senator Adamu described the announcement as a rumor. So let's seek to put what's playing out in the National Assembly into proper context. So much happening. And we're joined on the program this afternoon by Dr. Aminu Umar, who is an Associate Professor of Political Science, is a Director at the National Open University of Nigeria, and he's also worked at the National Assembly and the Institute for Legislative Studies. It's good to have you on the program, Dr. Umar. I know a lot of Nigerians are trying to understand what is playing out. The National Assembly leadership announced presiding officers, and just moments after, the chairman of the APC, the national chairman, says, well, it's just a rumor, I'm not aware. Now, there is a real work of legislation to be done by the National Assembly amidst all of these controversies. But from your experience, is this recent announcement, without recourse to the party, it would seem, is it against the convention and, more importantly, the laws?
No, it's not against the laws, because distinguished senators elect and honorable members are expected to select among them. It's part of the horse trading in politics, whether you like it or not. The position of the party may not really be the position of members of the House of Representatives or those in the Senate. And you know, it is about politics. Who is strong? It is about alliance building. It is about who you want to come on board so that he can give you the most desired support as the president of the Senate or Speaker of the House of Representatives. It is about loyalty, internal loyalty within the wall of the legislature, not the wall of the party. And mind you, in Africa, specifically Nigeria, the moment elections are over, party takes a second role. So it's not surprising that this complaint is coming from the National Party chairman. But whichever way it goes, just like it started with the campaign of who becomes the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the same thing will play off. At the end of the day, there will be reconciliation here and there, because there are so many other positions to be filled by party loyalists and supporters of the Speaker or the President of the Senate. So that politics will fizzle out with time. And whichever way it goes, if it goes the position of the party, there will still be bitterness and rancor and trouble within the wall of the legislature too. Probably that may not work well with some caucuses in the Senate or House of Representatives. So we watch as it plays out. But
just quickly, Dr. Umar, last year, remember that the national chairman of the party wrote a letter to the Senate to replace the Senate leader who decamped, or at least who stepped down, rather, to run for, governorship. If you recall that time, Senator Abdullahi Yahya, then the party chairman wrote a letter for replacement. So isn't it a bit, conflicting that you say that it's the normal, tradition to allow the Senate, but last year we saw that the party actually had a say, particularly for the Senate leader?
There is, in reality, in the world of politics, there is formality and informality. What plays behind the curtain is what is really the politics, not what is written on the paper or the formal communication. So like I said earlier, there will be horse trading here and here. There will be attempt to also meet the party executives and see how they can reconcile what truly transpired. If the leadership of either the Senate or the House of Representatives, that is the Senate President or the Speaker of the House, tell you the reason why they have to make this decision, you will also sympathize with them. Just like it is a matter of concern that the National Party chairman is also bringing up the matter that he did not really to the party line.
All right, so some would say this is just a mere distraction, right? There is a real work that needs to be done. And I mean, Nigerians are facing a lot these days. There's a high cost of living, subsidy removal. So there's work of governance that needs to be done. So in terms of setting an agenda, what they should focus on for the good of the Nigerian public, what would you say it is? So at least we can help to steer the attention in the right direction.
Yes, quite a lot. First, they have to draw from the global scene, especially the issue of climate change, renewable energy, that is fast dominating everywhere in the world. The cost of energy is rising, so there is need for alternative. So drawing from the global arena and issues such as the Sustainable Development Goals, they should narrow it down to the direction of the Mr. President and his cabinet. What do they really have in mind for Nigerians? Yes, he have said it during the campaign, but we have not seen a very clear-cut document on the direction he is going. Rather, we have had subsidy removal, dissolution of board of parastatals or federal agencies. Which direction he wants to go will be what will form the core direction of the agenda of the National Assembly too. But mind you, above all, one thing we have to consider is this issue of economic development. There is inflation, unemployment, youth despair, insecurity, quite a lot of them. And there is problem with agriculture, which is the main, after oil, which is the major supportive element of the Nigerian project. What should be done on these key areas? This is where the members of the National Assembly have to come, sit down and develop their own agenda so that they can further and enrich the Nigerian project in the direction that it deserves. And mind you, the subsidy removal is telling a lot of toll on Nigerians. It is not easy. It is becoming increasingly difficult day in, day out. In fact, probably if something is not done in a very short period of time, this may not sustain. People may start to cry out.
Right.
So there is need for NAS to rise above board, look at what is really pinching Nigerians. If not, Nigerians will also call them to order to ensure that they do what is proper, and it may create problem to our democracy.
So indeed, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and they need to focus on that. Indeed, Senator Yahya Abdullahi actually decamped from the APC, as was said earlier. But we'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Aminu Umar, Associate Professor of Political Science, Director at National Open University, and with extensive experience in the National Assembly and the Institute of Legislative Studies. Thank you so much for your time in the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's talk security now. There's growing apprehension over an attack by gunmen suspected to be members of the proscribed IPOB and ESN groups on Isheke and Ukwachu suburbs of Abakaliki, that's in Ebonyi State, the capital. Well, in this viral social media video, the gunmen opened fire on traders, ordering them to shut down operations and return home in compliance with a sit-at-home order. Well, the Ebonyi police reports that no one was hurt during the incident, saying they responded shortly after information got to them, and they pursued the gunmen, who escaped in different directions. And they say no casualty was recorded. A faction of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, had declared a one-week sit-at-home across the southeast. So let's head over to Ebonyi State now, live, where we're joined by the State Commissioner for Information, Mr. Jude Chikadibia, joins us virtually on the program this afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Lunchtime Politics.
Thank you.
I mean, if you could just give us a quick on-the-spot assessment. What exactly is the situation now? First, in those areas where we saw the attacks and generally in Ebonyi State.
Thank you, Kayode. Ebonyi State today is very calm. Each of the states are going about their normal business without any interruption. Activities are going on perfectly and peacefully. There is no problem. There's no crisis in Ebonyi State.
Areas, Isheke, Okwachi, those areas that were attacked. Are you saying that people can now go about their businesses or are indeed going about their businesses? And what kind of support and particularly protection are they getting?
Yes, what happened yesterday was just a minor skirmish. You know, it is public knowledge that the people of IPOB declared the 1 week sit-at-home. But it's also public knowledge that Ebonyi State have always been ignoring such uncivil order. There's no sit-at-home that Ebonyi people have ever complied to. And yesterday was not an exception, including today. So what happened was that some unscrupulous elements took advantage of the peaceful disposition of the people of Ebonyi State. And like the attack used to be, they embrace what I'll call guerrilla attack. You know, when this thing occurred, before His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Ebonyi State, right on the first of left for Abuja for Progressive Governors meeting with the National Legislative Party, he gave a clear directive to the security chiefs in the state. And actually this issue came on, the security agencies moved in immediately. And they went after this miscreant. And I have the assurance of the city and other security that they will soon be brought to justice.
Okay, there are conflicting reports about the casualty figures, and I'd like you to confirm to us how many casualties were there, if there was indeed any casualty.
No life was lost in that case.
Because there were reports that 3 members of the transport union were killed. Is that true?
The city, Ebonyi State Command, City Salaye, also issued a statement yesterday where they made it very clear that there was no life lost in this incident.
All right. Quickly, as we wind down now, what is the governor's position on IPOB, ESN, and the sit-at-home orders? What is his direct position? Let's just put that on record.
Just like always, I said initially that Ebonyi will not succumb to any uncivil authority. The Federal Republic of Nigeria is very clear. There cannot be 2 leadership at the same time. His Excellency the Governor, embraced security as a priority. And that's why he appointed security SAs of security in all the local governments to broaden the intelligence gathering network of the state.
Right.
That's what that's called anti-graft security of life and property in the state. So we can never succumb to the orders of an unrecognized and an organization that has been abrogated by the law.
All right, and I think that's a great place to leave it. Mr. Jude Chikadibia, the Commissioner for Information in Ebonyi. So thank you so much for your time, and please get back to us when you have more on the situation.
Absolutely, I'm grateful, and the Ebonyi government is also grateful, always.
All right, we'll go for a break now. When we return, there was a meeting in Lagos between political leaders in Lagos and from the Southeast. We'll tell you what came out of that meeting, plus the plan by the Kano State Anti-Graft Agency to probe former Governor Abdullahi Ganduje. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Okay, welcome back. The Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has promised to look into the planned demolition of some compromised structures in the Alaba market area of the nation's commercial capital, Lagos. We'll speak in shortly after a meeting with a delegation of businessmen and leaders from the Southeast. Governor Sanwo-Olu asked all parties to maintain peace to allow for ways of strengthening the relationship at both ends. Take a listen.
Gone up very successfully. We will discuss issues around common interest, especially issues bordering on recent demolition around the Alaba market, where there have been a lot of wrong information. There's been all sort of wrong communication that has gone out. Our conversation here this afternoon has cleared the air. We've seen that indeed there is need for us to continue to further collaborate where wrongs have been expressed. We've corrected all of the issues and the views, and we've jointly set up a small working committee that will go around and verify and see things for ourselves and be able to put all of the negative information and media reviews, put them out correctly.
Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
So there you see, it's part of a report by correspondent Olu Phillips. We're joined on the program now by Mr. Jerry Chukwueke, who's the anchor of Lagos Peace Summit, the citizens' rights advocate, and the chief economic advisor to the Imo State Governor on New Imo Project. He joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Well, thank you very much, Chief Technical Advisor to Imo State Government.
Right.
On the New Imo Project. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have you. And that meeting happened. I know it's been days and probably weeks of planning, but ever since that meeting, has anything fundamentally changed?
Oh, without a doubt. As you probably have read, the Lagos State Governor and our great governor of Imo State, alongside the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kano, agreed to set up a committee to audit the process. It's a committee now at works as we speak, a review committee, reviewing the activities of what transpired in Alaba market and all the other issues that came up in the conversations we had with regards to the perception of perhaps overstepping bounds, overzealousness, part of all the tensions that did arise. But let me also be clear. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu was very clear. He didn't even know about what was going on until he read him in the newspapers.
About the demolition?
Oh, yes. And so in that meeting, we met up with his key advisors and aides who were actually directly involved with that exercise. And it was important. So the agreement that was reached, and we thank our great governor of Imo State, who showed great leadership, and the people of Lagos State, particularly the Igbos in Lagos State, have gotten now some taste of what Imo people are enjoying in terms of his courageous, bold, and purposeful leadership in Imo. And so that's how we got here. So the review committee is at works, and it won't just be the issue of what transpired in the Alaba market. It will be all the other issues of concern where people have expressed strong sentiments about and perceptions about injustice or some fallout of the last general election.
Exactly, because
gubernatorial election.
a lot of people thought it was just going to be strictly politics, but ethnicity and all of that came in, just soiled the process. What was meant to be a celebration of democracy then became, brought down to all of those incendiary issues. So I wonder then, what will be the ultimate goal for, this particular committee? What do you hope to achieve? Because whether you like it or not, there are people that still have bad blood on both sides. And some of them have vowed that never again will I have anything to do with you, but that's affecting the very fabric of our nation. So what is the goal?
Well, I think that some of that, those comments are really overreactions. The Igbos are a global ethnic group, prosperous, hardworking, recognized globally as such. And let me also be clear. Our political system with time will require further reforms. The younger people, and it wasn't just the Igbos, so it was in the Southwest and across Nigeria, largely speaking, don't quite understand why the issue of zoning of political leadership in Nigeria between the North and South is not between and amongst the geopolitical zones. So when you say power rotates between the North and the South, and power comes to the South, and then it gets muddled up because some part of the South is marginalized. They don't understand that. And that's a natural feeling. We get it. We get it. So the movement you saw, in addition to what many young people felt, that they had, had issues and lost a great deal of confidence in the two existing big political parties, and they wanted change, was all part of what you saw. But having said that, let's come back to reality and the politics at play. The truth of the matter is that what transpired in the general elections that produced our president today indirectly was a consequence of how these young people, Igbos, young people in Southwest and everywhere else who are looking for change, the way they voted produced that president indirectly. Because had it not been the case, I'm not sure where we would be between PDP and APC, my party. So it's a great thing. Yeah. It is a great thing. Because that movement created an important opportunity for this present government to emerge. Those are the facts.
I hope that people actually know that politics should not end in bad blood. Essentially, everyone has a choice to make. And, hey, there's freedom of choice. But there's still that, you have to respect us here.
Yes.
And, hey, I mean, it's a free world. We are able to do business, live here, and contribute. So how are you... I also get to Imo politics, by the way.
That's all right.
With the limited time we have.
That's all right.
But particularly that point, respect us in our land, in quote, allow us to do business as a free man's land. How do you really plan to get through to that?
So let me respond to that. I just take you back a few years ago. The whole business of Chief Abiola's presidency that almost became was driven by in a very significant way by key Igbo leaders. The General Ebutu Kiwes, the late Admiral Ndubisi Kanos, the strong Nadeko people. Many of them were Southeasterners. So that project that almost succeeded had a lot to do with strong Igbo support. So that wasn't the issue. As a matter of fact, we, who are business people who live in Lagos, like me, supported strongly our current president when he was the governor of Lagos State.
And you supported him for president?
Big time. Look, let me be clear. With his 2 terms in Lagos State, had strong support from the business community that were Igbos in Lagos. And quite frankly, as he completed his 2nd term, Governor Fashola came in and enjoyed the same support. So it's really quite strange what's going on. And I think a lot of fringe elements and the people who are taking undue advantage of the situation are actually overplaying it.
We have just about a minute.
Yes.
I mean, time flies so fast when you're having this sorts of conversation.
Yes.
Interesting point, but let's talk Imo politics.
Yes.
The governor is seeking a 2nd term.
Yes.
Some other political parties say Well, he's not allowing us breathe. That has become a very popular statement. Now, in fact, they talk about a certain 53.4 or million naira campaign permit or something like that on opposition parties. What's
not allowing them to breathe is the great job he's doing in Imo State. That's what their problem is. Let me tell you, I don't know if you've been to Imo lately. It's a transformed state in infrastructure, in education, employment opportunities, creating new and new ways of people making a living. And quite frankly, doing a great job in managing the tough security situation.
So what about that campaign permit?
Well, the campaign permit has nothing to do with the government. It has to do, just like in Lagos State or any other state, if you're going to put up a billboard, you pay some fees.
So it's as much as 50 million naira?
No. They're talking about how many, we don't know how many billboards people want to erect. It's all a function of how many billboards and what the rates are. And I am even aware that the more billboards you want to put up, you get a greater discount.
You get dozen price.
So I don't know what they're talking about. I think that's just a talking point.
Well, it's important to raise these issues such that we have, level playing field, as they say. But it's been a very interesting conversation, Mr. Jerry.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Lagos Peace Summit and Chief Technical Advisor, right?
Yes.
To the Imo State government.
Correct. And Imo is on the move. We thank the government.
Wish you the very best. Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here. Well done.
Right. Just before we go, let's tell you that the reinstated chairman of the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission, Mr. Moyi Magaji, says the agency will reopen the case of the immediate past governor of the state, where he appeared to be stuffing dollars in his pockets. In October 2018, a viral video released by an online news media showed the former governor allegedly collecting kickbacks from contractors to the tune of $5 million. And that's been the program for this afternoon. Don't forget, you can catch up on all of the breaking news right here on Channels Television and on channelstv.com. I'm Kyle Kikule.